Bob Weir never looked like the obvious rock star of the Grateful Dead. He was the quiet one off to the side, the rhythm guitarist, the guy people called Bobby. Yet behind that laid-back smile was one of the strangest and most original lives in rock history. Today, we are counting down 10 weird facts you probably did not know about Bob Weir, from a different birth name to cowboy work, from secret elite clubs to terrible jokes that drove Deadheads crazy. And because Bob Weir passed away in January of 2026 at the age of 78, we can now look at the full arc of that long, strange trip. Let us start at the very beginning, because even his name was different. Fact number 1. He was adopted, and his real birth name was Parber. Most fans knew him as Bob Weir, or just Bobby. But when he was born in San Francisco on October 16, 1947, his name was Robert Hall Parber. His mother was a college student. His father was in the Air Force. They were young and not ready to raise a child, so baby Robert was given up for adoption. He was taken in by Frederick and Eleanor Weir, who lived in Atherton, California. Atherton was and still is one of the richest suburbs in America. So, this kid who started life as Robert Parber suddenly became Bob Weir, growing up in a world of big houses and private schools. The story could have ended there. Comfortable life, classic path. It did not, because Bob struggled in a way no one around him really understood. That brings us to fact number 2. He was kicked out of almost every school he went to. As a kid, Bob Weir had a problem nobody could name back then: severe dyslexia. His brain did not process words on a page the way most kids' brains did. Reading was hard, writing was hard. He would look at a line of text, and the letters seemed to shift and dance. Teachers thought he was lazy, or not trying, or just being a smart aleck. He could not keep up with the work, so he started acting out in class. By his own telling, he was the problem child in a sea of high achievers. He went to fancy private schools around the Bay Area, including the Menlo School. One by one, they kicked him out. Eventually, his parents sent him to Fountain Valley School in Colorado. It was there that he met John Perry Barlow, a wild, funny, ranch-raised kid who would later become his main songwriting partner. Bob finally dropped out of school. No diploma, no clear future, just a kid who could not sit still in a classroom. Yet all those expulsions pushed him toward the one place he always felt at home: music. And in a strange twist, it also pushed him toward the cowboy life that would shape his songs. Fact number 3. He ran away at 15 to become a real cowboy. When you hear Bob Weir sing songs like El Paso or Me and My Uncle, it is easy to think it is just an act, cowboy cosplay. But as a teenager, Bob actually lived that life. Around age 15, after yet another school disaster, he stuck out his thumb and hitchhiked to Wyoming. He ended up working at the Barcross Ranch. It was not just any ranch. It belonged to the parents of that same John Perry Barlow from school. There, Bob was not a rock musician. He was a ranch hand. He herded cattle, shoveled manure, fixed fences, slept in a bunkhouse with old cowhands who had been doing this work their whole lives. At night, those cowboys pulled out guitars and sang old country and western songs: Wide Open Plains, Lost Love, Outlaws, and Ramblers. Bob soaked it all in. Those songs and that dusty, hard life stayed with him. Decades later, that time on the ranch would echo through his music, especially on his 2016 solo album, Blue Mountain, which went to number 14 on the Billboard 200. From there, his life took another sharp turn, from bunkhouses and cattle to the back alleys of Palo Alto. And that is where the legend of the Grateful Dead really begins. Fact number 4. He met Jerry Garcia in an alley on New Year's Eve. Picture this. It is December 31st, 1963. Bob is 16. He is wandering around Palo Alto on New Year's Eve, trying to find a club that will let in a minor so he can hear some music. Then he hears it. A banjo, coming from the back of Dana Morgan's music store. He follows the sound down an alley to the shop's back room. Inside is Jerry Garcia, waiting for a student who never shows up. Instead of teaching a banjo lesson, Jerry ends up jamming with this teenage kid who happened to walk by. They play folk songs, bluegrass tunes. They talk music for hours. By the time the sun comes up on the first morning of 1964, the core of what will become the Grateful Dead is in place. Jerry Garcia used to joke that Bob just showed up and never left. That chance meeting in an alley turned into a musical partnership that lasted more than 30 years through countless shows, albums, and late night jams. But that partnership was not always easy, and at one point, Bob was even pushed out of the band he helped create. Fact number 5. He was actually fired from the Grateful Dead in 1968. By the late 1960s, the Grateful Dead were starting to stretch out. Long jams, strange time signatures, songs that went from folk to jazz to pure noise in a single night. Jerry Garcia and bassist Phil Lesh were driving the band into more complex spaces. They looked over at their young rhythm guitarist and decided he was not keeping up. In 1968, before the live album Live Dead, Jerry and Phil sat Bob Weir down. Along with keyboardist and organ player Pigpen, they basically told him, "You are out." They thought his playing was too loose, too straightforward for where they wanted to go. For a while, Bob was on the outside. It was like being kicked out of your own family. But instead of giving up, he treated it like a challenge. He dug into music theory, worked on new ways to play chords. When he came back, he had totally changed his style. This exile is what pushed him to develop the weird, piano-like rhythm playing he is known for today. Which brings us to the next point. Fact number 6, he plays guitar like a pianist. Most rock rhythm guitarists play big, full chords, lots of strings ringing at once. Bob could not do that in the Grateful Dead. Jerry Garcia's lead guitar was all over the place. Phil Lesh played the bass like a second lead guitar. If Bob played normal chords, the sound would turn to mud, so he carved out his own space. Instead of bar chords, he used unusual inversions, little 3 or 4 note shapes on the middle strings. He often thought the way a jazz pianist might. Players like McCoy Tyner used rich, stacked chords that gave depth without getting in the way. Bob brought that idea to rock guitar. Bandmates sometimes called his playing quirky or goofy, but it worked. Listen to live versions of Jackstraw, Cassidy, or Estimated Prophet. You will hear Jerry soloing, Phil dancing around on bass, and under it all, Bob is playing these strange, clipped patterns that hold everything together. Many guitarists have tried to copy his style. Very few can. Because it is not just about shapes on the fretboard. It is about his ear, his sense of where not to play, and his willingness to sound different from everyone else on stage. Now, here is where things get even stranger. Because while he was this symbol of the hippie counterculture, he was also attending one of the most secretive and powerful clubs in America. Fact number 7. He was a member of the Bohemian Grove. The words Grateful Dead make people think of tie-dye, peace signs, and protests. Somehow, Bob Weir lived in both worlds. The Bohemian Club is an elite, all-male group that meets each year at Bohemian Grove, a private camp in the Redwoods near the Russian River in California. Former presidents have been members, CEOs, generals, the people who run giant companies and shape policy behind closed doors. Bob did not just visit once, he became a member. He even brought bandmate Mickey Hart with him. When fans asked why a counterculture icon would hang out with that crowd, Bob's answer was simple. He said, if you want to change the world, you have to spend time with the people who run it. It is one of the strangest turns in his story. Cowboy ranch hand, psychedelic guitarist, and then guest at one of the most powerful, secretive retreats on Earth. Not all the strange stories were about politics, though. Some were as simple as a single lyric and a legendary temper. Fact number 8. He got into a fistfight with Robert Hunter over one line in Sugar Magnolia. Robert Hunter was the Grateful Dead's main lyricist. He wrote words for Dark Star, Ripple, Truckin', and many more. Hunter believed lyrics mattered. Every word, every comma. He did not like singers changing things on stage. Bob Weir liked to change things on stage. The breaking point was Sugar Magnolia. Hunter had written a line a certain way. On stage, Bob sang it as "She can wade in a drop of dew." That small change drove Hunter crazy. The story goes that the fight got physical. Punches thrown, shouting. After that, Hunter refused to write with Bob for years. That pushed Bob to lean even more on John Perry Barlow for lyrics. The Bob and Barlow pair gave us songs like Cassidy, Mexicali Blues, and Looks Like Rain. One missung line led to a fistfight, which led to a whole new stream of songs that shaped the Dead's catalog. Bob could get stubborn about lyrics, yet on stage, he was also famous for doing the exact opposite, completely blanking on them. Fact number 9, he forgot lyrics on stage, and fans loved him for it. If you saw Bob Weir live, especially in later years with Dead and Company or Wolf Bros, you probably saw this at least once. He would step up to the mic, the band would be flowing, and then his mind would just go empty. The next line, gone. In other bands, forgetting words might get you booed. With Deadheads, it got you applause and laughter. People would cheer him on, shout the missing line. It became part of the charm of a live show. Anything could happen. Even the guy who had sung Jackstraw thousands of times could suddenly forget how it started. Through it all, Bob kept pushing himself, not just on stage, but off. While many rock stars in their 70s slowed down, he went in the opposite direction. In his later years, he took his fitness to almost extreme levels. He trained with a heavy mace called a gata, swinging it around his head in wide circles. He dragged huge tires up and down his driveway. He did long, punishing workouts so that a 3-hour show in his 70s would feel like no big deal. Magazines like Men's Health wrote about his routine. Fans saw videos of this gray-bearded musician doing training most people half his age would struggle with. He said he did it to keep up with the music and to stay ready for life on the road. At the same time, he was creating more new music than he had in years. He formed Bobby Weir and Wolf Bros in 2018. He added a horn and string section called the Wolf Pack. He reimagined Grateful Dead songs with full orchestras like the National Symphony. He signed a deal with Jack White's Third Man Records. During the COVID shutdowns, he worked on an opera, a memoir, even a concerto grosso. He used to talk about wanting the band's music to have a 300-year legacy. To him, these songs were living things that would keep changing long after any one musician was gone. Which brings us to the last weird fact on this list, a story that longtime Deadheads know all too well. Fact number 10. The infamous Yellow Dog story. In the early 1970s, the Grateful Dead's live shows were legendary. They were also a mess. Gear broke, amps buzzed, guitars went out of tune. Sometimes the band needed 10 minutes on stage to fix everything. What do you do with a crowd of thousands while the techs sort it out? If you are Bob Weir, you tell the worst joke you know. The Yellow Dog story was a long, wandering, pointless joke about a short, squat, ugly yellow dog. He would start telling it while crew members changed strings or swapped cables. The story would go in circles, side paths, details that did not matter. It always seemed like it might finally pay off with a great punchline. It never did. Fans groaned. They rolled their eyes. They also secretly loved it. The Yellow Dog story became a kind of in-joke between Bob and the audience, a symbol of how casual and human the band was. Rock gods who did not mind killing time with a dumb, unfinished joke while everything fell apart around them. In a way, that sums Bob Weir up. Adopted kid with dyslexia who could not stay in school, runaway cowboy, alleyway guitar student, fired bandmate who came back with a brand new style, counterculture hero who walked among presidents at Bohemian Grove, fitness-obsessed 70-something who still forgot lyrics and told bad jokes on stage. He played guitar like a piano. He handled Jerry Garcia's darker habits in the early days, acting as a bagman for his drugs. He took punches from Robert Hunter. He wrote with John Perry Barlow. He kept the music going after Jerry's death in 1995. Through Further, Rat Dog, Dead and Company, and Wolf Brothers,